Hey everyone, hope you liked that clip. If you did, go ahead and just hit the like and subscribe button. Really helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. And if you like to see any other builds that I make, or obviously just like to see theory crafting of builds on PoE, things like that, or just want to come and chill and talk PoE and hang out, you can come chill out at Twitch TV / Pussybird TV. Thanks a lot and hope you enjoy the video. Now, before we jump in, I wanted to give a quick update regarding my Twitch channel playtime recently. I haven't had as much time to play and just haven't streamed that much in the past week. Haven't streamed at all in the past week, actually. And that's just for whatever reason I'm getting between like 400 and 1,000 ping right now during certain hours of the day. It's mostly during hours that I'm home from work, so it's, kind of shitty. So yeah, just hopefully Bell offers some better options in the area soon, or we can get this thing figured out. But I do plan on coming back ASAP. Okay, now I wanted to give a follow-up on the self-chill Forbidden Rite Assassin. So what can I say about this build? I have had a lot of fun making it. It's kind of a mix-up of several texts that are used on several, or sorry, I shouldn't say several, it's just really like the standard Forbidden Rite build on Occultist. You just use like the same triggers for the most part and shit like that. But I chose Assassin as my ascendancy because I just really wanted to focus on speed, and focusing on buffing that elusive effect really helps us achieve getting a lot of speed. Now, it's not the tankiest build against elemental damage. It feels really nice still because of the sustain, but ultimately the Ellie max hit being only around 24-25k just isn't that high for my liking, so it does feel a little weak against Ellie, but against physical damage it feels pretty damn good. And the effective hit pool I find is quite comfortable for general mapping. For bossing, it's pretty good as well because you're only dealing with one enemy as opposed to a whole bunch of them, and the life gain on hit really keeps you alive as long as you don't go ahead and just take some massive hits. You gotta dodge the telegraph hits, but it feels really good for bossing, I found. Now, the real seller for me on this build is the movement speed, though. Especially when you pair it with Pact with Energy, which is a node on the Atlas tree. You can find that, and it gives you +1% to max elemental res per sulfite vein found on your maps, as well as 35% increased damage and 15% increased movement speed per vein. So that's a total of +3 to all your max LE res. It's 105% increased damage and 45% movement speed. So not bad. The build never really moves slower than 150% movement speed, and with all the buffs active, we achieve speeds of 530%. So that means like Val Haste is up. We also get the Pact with Energy node, so the 530 is without Pact with Energy, which is 45% additional movement speed. And then of course the speed shrine buff that we can grab in our maps, which is pretty common, and that gives us a whole bunch more action speed. So we just get really fast. At times it's like hard to control, to be honest. So I don't use like any dashes or anything like that because it's just kind of crazy. Now, I was also pretty starved on gem slots and points on the tree, as the build does need a lot of things to function well. So for starters, you need a lot of life recovery. So we achieve that by using Vitality. So Vitality we get with a little bit of increased effect, and Vitality is going to give us some life regen, as well as give us a whole bunch of life gain on hit through the use of our Watcher's Eye here. Now, the Watcher's Eye do have the double Vitality, but to be honest, like the second mod, the increased life recovery rate, it's just a little extra gravy. I liked it. It was 6 Divine for the Watcher's Eye, but I wouldn't recommend spending any more than 6 Divine on the same type of Watcher's Eye. A viewer of mine is playing the build, and he's taken it all the way to 100 already, and he does not play with the second mod on that Watcher's Eye, so it's definitely viable and playable. Now, there is, of course, the life gain on hit, and that is getting supported by a trigger with Ball Lightning and Blazing Salvo. And that also has GMP, so we're getting quite a few projectiles there. And then we also have 9 projectiles, well, 6 with 3 intensity stacks, but we have 6 to 9 projectiles coming from our Forbidden Rite as well. So all in all, there's a shit ton of projectiles just coming out and getting us lots of life gain on hit with every single one. We also take Infused Flesh, and Infused Flesh is found on the tree here. And this entire wheel here is going to give us 30% damage taken recouped as life, which is really, really nice for the build and just helps support our life regen. It really, really feels nice when you feel that bump in the life regen. Now, the build also needs a ton of mana reduction. Actually, I should also mention we take Blood Drinker. I kind of just like gloss over this node, but it is really important to have that 2% life on kill. It just feels really, really nice to get that extra recovery layer in there while you're mapping. Now, again, mana reduction, we need a lot of it. Cannot skimp out on mana reduction in this build. I would even take more if I could fit more in, but ultimately it feels really good right now, so I don't really need more. But yeah, the mana recovery and mana reduction, I should say, we achieve through taking 10% off the wheel here, the Mana Mastery. We also take an Impossible Escape Jewel and grab the one with Glancing Blows, and this is going to allow us to gain the entire Tireless Wheel, which is really important in the build. So we're able to gain the entire Tireless Wheel there. We also use Anomalous GMP on both our active skill and our triggers here. And this is giving us another 20% reduced mana cost from each of those. We also use the Impossible Escape Jewel, and we take that with Glancing Blows. And that allows us to actually take the entire Tireless Wheel. And this is a really important wheel because it gives us quite a bit of reduction in our mana cost. We also use a Replica Conqueror's Efficiency, and this is giving us another -9 to the total mana cost of our skills. So all in all, it takes our mana cost down to 26, which is quite nice. And honestly, for the triggers, it feels really good too because they have a really low mana cost as well. The most important thing about this, and actually I should mention too, we do take the reduction of mana cost from the boot enchant. This is also very important because it's a massive amount of mana reduction, and since we hit ourselves, we get this buff up all the time. So very, very important there. Now, the reason we take all this mana reduction is because without it, you can't sustain your triggers. And if you can't sustain your triggers, then you can't sustain your life gain on hit. And as you can see, the entire sustain and recovery portion of it will kind of just crumble, so it won't feel good. So definitely don't skimp out on the mana reduction. Don't look for other alternatives to, see if you can fit in more damage. Just get that mana reduction in because it's very, very important. I also still need to pick up Divergent Inspiration. Actually, I'm just going to cut that out because I don't need it. Now, for our movement speed, we have quite a bit going on, actually. So we use Elusive, and that's with 347% increased effect. Elusive effect we actually achieve through our boots, which we don't even have the best Eldritch mod on the boots, so I can still do better here. The Badge of the Brotherhood is giving 100% increased effect. We get some more through our Ascendancy. We get another 40% through the Anoint on our Amulet. And then I grab another bunch, 38% here from the Elusive effect on Withering Step. So quite a bit of Elusive effect. And then we also have Self-Chill, which is achieved through the Call of the Void ring, as well as Winter Weave. We also have Berserk, which is a 30% more multiplier. And Berserk is actually quite nice because it's up literally like, it feels like all the time while mapping. the more you juice your map, actually the better the sustain of it feels, because of course then you're stunning more enemies, you're killing more enemies. We also use haste, and haste has a 35% increase effect, so we're getting quite a bit of cast speed and movement speed out of haste. Actually a huge damage multiplier in our build, so it's definitely a very, very nice pickup. We then have Replica Hot-Headed, and that's giving us another 20% while we're chilled, which is always. We have Rot Cut, which is a way for us to fit in the Quicksilver Flask while also gaining Onslaught. And we gain Onslaught for 30 seconds when we use it while we have our 10 Frenzy Charges. So it's really, really nice and feels really good. Onslaught, of course, gives you another 20% increased movement speed. We have the 5% from our boots on the action speed, and then I only have 25% movement speed on these boots, so these could definitely get better, as I said. The defensive setup is supported by Determination, which is allowing us to grab around 27.5k armor. We have Berserk with 19% less damage taken while that buff's active. We have a trigger setup for our Mortal Call with 4 endurance charges, and that's going to give us around, it's 26% and then 45, so 71%, I believe. 71% less physical damage taken, and then it's 26% less elemental damage taken through that. So that's quite nice. We also have a 10% less damage taken while enemies are on our fungal ground. And the fungal ground scales with our AoE, so it's really nice. It covers up a nice chunk of area around us. And then the 15% less damage taken through the Call of the Void Ring, through the chill effect there, as well as 52% damage avoidance, like I had mentioned on the Elusive. So all in all, there's quite a bit of defensive layers working together to make the build feel smooth and feel good. For the damage, it's just your standard power charge stacking setup with dual void batteries and a badge of the Brotherhood. So nothing too special going on there. But with this setup, we achieve around 8.5 million DPS, and it's around 13 something, 13.7 when the enemy reaches low life. So that's 50%, and that feels pretty damn good too. I know with Val Haste it goes higher as well, but that's just a temporary buff, so I won't really show that. But yeah. Now we also use Spore Guard in this build, and I just wanted to quickly mention Spore Guard because I thought about dropping it for a frenzy on hit and explode chest. Ultimately, I just felt it was kind of a terrible decision, because what I'd really want on that chest is frenzy on hit and either like an endurance charge when hit or additional curse and spell crit. This way we could save points on the tree and give ourselves more damage or whatever we wanted. The problem is that then we lose the explode. So unless I'm taking something like Asenath's Gentle Touch or something like that, but then we have to find another curse because of the temp chains. So it just doesn't feel really good. The Spore Guard gives us up to 10% increased max life. It also gives us explode while the enemies are on our fungal ground, and as I mentioned, that does scale with AoE, which we scale as much as we can. We get additional damage reduction while enemies are on the fungal ground as well. We also deal additional damage to enemies while they're on the fungal ground. It's 10% damage taken to them. We get Chaos Res from it. We get the Explode, of course. And then we also get a very good amount of armor and energy shield. And most importantly, we get an additional Anoint. We get to take Golem's Blood. And Golem's Blood is giving us another 10% increase maximum life, and then another big fat chunk of life regen per second. So Golem's Blood, I would highly recommend as taking as your second Anoint. If you are playing this build, trust me, I've tried a lot of different Anoints on this tree for the second Anoint, and Golem's Blood hands down feels the best to me. So I would definitely use that. So far, I've only put about 17, maybe like 18 divines into the build. I did self-craft all of the rares. I did buy the cluster jewels. but they were pretty cheap, to be quite honest. But the actual rares, like all the armor and all that shit, I crafted that stuff. So around 17, 18 divines. But of course, now that the self-chill builds are all out and the Call of the Void and Winterweave have been pushed up so high in price, I would, and also Replica Hot-Headed, let's not forget about that, I would assume that you'd be spending closer towards like 25 or 30 plus, possibly even more if people started to even pick up this build. So, you know, obviously keep a healthy amount of divines available if you'd like to get it started. But yeah, if you like to map fast and still be able to take on the endgame bosses, you know, like Cirrus and Maven and all those people, you know, minus Ubers, of course. And you should know your boss mechanics, of course, because it's not like you're some Uber tank. But, you know, I think this is the build for you if you're looking for something that's just fun, comfortable to play, and maps really, really fast. I'll be hopping back on the stream at my regular schedule on Sunday at 4 p.m. EST. And of course, that is internet pending. So we'll see if it feels like being cooperative that day. But if you do come by, come chill, smoke a bowl. And until next time, peace out, everyone.